which is located to our north. It is the largest monument on the entire battlefield. We are on Cemetery Ridge in the midst of the Union line that is severely weakened when the Union 3rd Corps moves forward. Rebels overrun these Union positions to the west, our left. Federals retreat back in chaos over this ridge. General Hancock orders a single regiment, the 1st Minnesota, to charge into the massive rebel onslaught. The 1st Minnesota charges towards the trees at Plum Run to the west, our left. Minutes will determine if the line will hold or the Confederates will split the Union Army in half.
By the late afternoon of July 2nd, the rebels have overrun positions at Devil's Den, the wheat field, the peach orchard, and are now threatening Cemetery Ridge. To stop the onslaught of rebels, Hancock orders Union troops forward. This creates a quarter-mile-wide gap here in the Union center on Cemetery Ridge. If the rebels seize this ground, they will break the Union lines and almost surely win the battle. General Hancock observes an entire Confederate brigade of some 1,400 men charging towards this spot. This situation is desperate. The Union lines, the battle, may hang in the balance. Hancock frantically searches for some way to plug this gap, to buy time, just a few minutes, to move up reinforcements before these rebels crash through the Union lines. He finds only a single regiment, the 1st Minnesota, 262 men. Among these men of the 1st Minnesota are brothers Henry and Isaac Taylor. When the war begins, Henry, a year older, is a teacher at a frontier school for Indians. His brother Isaac is a college student studying science, geology, and botany. Along with 4 other brothers, they are caught up in the patriotic fervor that sweeps the nation at the outbreak of the Civil War. Henry writes, "The spirit of patriotism prompted me to volunteer to go and fight for my beloved country. The Star-Spangled Banner, oh long may it wave. I go feeling that I am right and in a good cause, and if that be the case, I will not fear." Now, as the sun dips behind the mountains in the west, these 2 brothers are waiting to make a charge to save the Union line, perhaps to save the United States. General Lee describes his philosophy of battle this way: "I do my duty insofar as my powers and capabilities permit, until the moment when battle begins. I then leave the matter to God." Here at Gettysburg, Lee has, in his eyes, the best men ever assembled in an army. Certainly, at this moment on this ridge, he will take these odds. 5 rebels for every Yankee, to split the Union line, to win the battle, possibly to end the war. To achieve Confederate independence, freedom. It is now in God's hands. Lee's men, Alabamians, race towards this gaping hole in the Union line. Hancock rides up to the 1st Minnesota, shouts, "My God, are these all the troops we have here?" Realizing it is, he points to the flags of the charging rebels a few hundred yards away. Hancock swears and orders the colonel of the 1st Minnesota, "Do you see those colors? Well, capture them." Hancock gallops away to find more reinforcements. One Minnesotan says, "Every man realized in an instant what that order meant. Death or wounds to us all. The sacrifice of the regiment to gain a few minutes' time and save the position, and probably the battlefield." Hancock later says, "I would have ordered that regiment in if I had known that every man would be killed. It had to be done." They are outnumbered nearly 5 to 1. Certain death. "Fix bayonets," the colonel orders. "Forward, double quick, march." Round shot, grape and shrapnel tore fearfully through our ranks, and more deadly rifles directed to us alone. Great heavens, how fast our men fell. It seemed as if every step was over some fallen comrade. Yet no man wavers. Every gap is closed up. Henry Taylor, the teacher, ordered by General Hancock to charge the enemy. "I saw several of our company fall before we fired a gun. We still pressed on at double quick. I thought I saw my brother Isaac fall. No time to stop then. Faltering might decide the battle against us. Half of our regiment had fallen." 262 men converge with the rushing 1,400 rebels. Bayonets level. Hurrah! The rebel yell. The Minnesotans pour fire into the Alabamians. Stunned by the ferocity of the Minnesotans' charge, the Alabama brigade hesitates. Their charge stalls. Just briefly, maybe 5 minutes, 10 at the most. But on this day, at this moment, it is enough. The Minnesotans have bought Hancock the time he needs to reinforce the line. The Union position is safe. Of the 262 Minnesotans who make the charge, only 47 return unscathed. On the evening of July 2nd, Isaac Taylor of the 1st Minnesota does not return from the regiment's charge. The next day, his brother Henry finds Isaac on the battlefield. "I find my dear brother dead. A shell struck him on the top of his head and passed out through his back, cutting his belt in two. The poor fellow did not know what hit him." He buries his brother at a nearby farm, finds a board to mark the grave, and inscribes on it, "No useless coffin enclosed his breast, nor in sheet nor in shroud we bound him, but he lay like a warrior taking his rest, with his shelter tent around him." Henry then makes a last entry in his brother Isaac's diary. The owner of this diary was killed by a shell about sunset, July 2nd, 1863. His face was toward the enemy.